Hello, hello, hello.
Hola, hola, hola.
Hola. Welcome to a brand new episode of Thanks
Thanks
for
for
Nothing.
nothing.
I'm never going to get a co-host that does it at the same time as me.
That was
Ever.
close.
It was close. It definitely was close. Welcome to Wednesday, if that's when you're watching this.
Yes.
If you're watching live with us right now or the replay, let us know hashtag live, hashtag replay, say hello. Let us know. Good morning, Facebook user. Don't forget that if you are in the Facebook group to make sure that you press the StreamYard permission link above in the description. And then that way we could see who you are. I mean, we know we could feel your heart, but hello, Margaret. Yes, she's ready to show the signs. We got Linda here is live. Awesome.
Yes. Linda's in New York. I think first time watching. Welcome, Linda.
Welcome. Yes, and welcome to everyone that's watching us at streaming live on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, anywhere in the universe. I know that Rich today is streaming somewhere totally different. Where are you coming in from, besides Mars?
Well, always Mars. Portugal. Yeah, I'm in Europe, people. Portugal. Yes.
He made it. If you tuned in last week, then you remember that he was or the week before, he was getting ready to take off and start this brand new adventure, perhaps even following the signs, which we'll get into today. And now he blinked his eyes, twitched his nose, clicked his heels, and in Porto
Ruby slippers, yes.
What?
Ruby slippers.
Ruby slippers. So if you are watching with us, let us know where you're watching from. Like, you could tell us what city, what part of the world you're in. You could tell us what platform you're watching from. We don't care. We just want to know who's hanging out with us today.
Yeah. Who are you?
So today, as you could tell probably, or maybe you just suddenly were scrolling by and you saw these two really cute people on your screen and you're like, hey, what are they talking about? Actually, today we're talking about signs, and this might be the sign that you've been waiting for. Oh, good morning. Hello. And while we're getting ready, I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Margaret is tuning in from San Bernardino. I can't even say that correctly. Linda from Central Washington. Hello, Bill. Oh, we got the third part of our throuple. Hey, Denise. And y'all stay tuned. Make sure you stay with us all the way to the end, because we've got a special guest joining us right at the end to join into this conversation.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you?
Don't want to miss that.
Don't want to miss that.
Oh, nothing. I closed my eyes, woke up, and I was in Portugal.
Powerful.
No big whoop.
No big whoop.
Yeah, I'm here for, well, I don't know. Up to 90 days, but I don't know.
Which is always really exciting and scary, right? But exciting.
It hasn't been scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely exciting. I mean, I've never done this before. I mean, I've traveled a lot, but never with a one-way ticket and only the first week planned. So I just extended where I'm staying here in this amazing
You did?
apartment. Yes, until the 14th. And then I have to leave at the 14th because someone else will be coming in. And then who knows? I'll go to some other part of Portugal, most likely. Possibly Spain at some point. But I know I want to come back to Porto for sure, because it's just so beautiful here. There's so much to see and do. And I've only been here a few days. So,
yeah.
But I'm doing the digital nomad thing, working and then exploring, scampering at late hours of the night, as I like to do when I'm traveling. And it's really fun. It's just awesome.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, Rich has just made this major transition in his physical world, like changing locations. But we, for quite some time, have been making a transformation, not just in our physical world, but also, our mental, emotional, all of it, right?
Is that what we're calling it? Yes.
I don't know. I'm just trying to use big words right now.
Yes.
Transition's a big word.
Gypsy Rich.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, we have Shari and I, along with Denise and some others, I think, have been very consciously practicing the art of creating the world we want to live in, and the characters that we're playing in that world. Well, really, worlds, the characters in all the worlds that we want to live in.
Everywhere, all
And
together, all at once.
exactly.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really just about really developing our consciousness in a much accelerated way. And in a few short weeks, the things that have been happening for me and for you, Shari, and also for Diana. But of course, is the only answer.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that today, everyone. So stay with us, because really what we wanted to focus on today is we've been working a lot over these last specifically 5 weeks. We're part of a 12-week program with Denise, who may or may not show up later. You never know where she pops up in the world. But really a lot with energy and with our awareness. And so much of that is really about paying attention and noticing, creating signs. So if you've ever, I don't know about you, Rich, but for me, I feel like I've always kind of noticed signs, but never like purposely looked for them. So almost like a confirmation for me. It's always been about a confirmation. So like when I'm thinking something, I'm not debating, having this internal dialogue, and I'm like, something will pop into my world that says exactly what it is that I feel like that I should follow. And that's kind of how or a song lyric, right? Like a license plate kind of thing. And it always feels like something that I am already internally, like something that's already vibrating within, and I'm kind of in that in-between state. But the work that we're doing now feels much more deliberate with the signs. And so before we fully get into this conversation, I'm curious, for those of you who watch, do you follow signs? And what has been your experience with signs? I'll ask you that question.
Me,
Yeah,
you.
all you.
Well, I just have to say before whatever else will come out of my mouth, but I was making a video earlier, a Facebook Live, and was standing. I had to get out of the wind, so I found a little nook, and I noticed plastered on the walls there were this sign in Portuguese, and the sign said, "No peeing." And I thought, well, that's an interesting sign. I probably had to pee at the time. But the reason why those signs are there, I know, because last night when I was on my scampering at midnight, I noticed men who, not homeless men, just guys who must have been out, at bars, like standing between these recycling bins, just peeing. And apparently that's just a normal thing. So there has to be signs that say no peeing. So
I thought that was like a normal thing outside of all bars. Like really, wherever you are, I'm just glad that they put a sign up about it.
It's very polite here. Please don't pee here. Yeah, I think there's been iterations of how I've thought about this concept, signs, and how we're thinking about it now. It is very different from how I might have talked about it in the past. And there's certainly, I think there's there's a difference between being conscious about what you're creating and knowing what you're creating, and then noticing the signs, right? The markers that are showing you, yep, you're this way, you're in the right direction. And then there's we hear it all the time. We hear it all the time. People
I was trying
saying,
to point at that sign I put over there underneath you, but I can't get to underneath you. You're in a different country. Or maybe we can you just point down? Yeah, see that way, the other way.
That
Okay.
sign, yes. Shari worked very hard to find that particular sign. So
all of it, and the ones above us, I'm like, whew.
All of it. Yes, it's amazing. I love it. It's really cute.
Yeah.
But we hear people saying things like, I keep seeing 1111, or I keep seeing 3 2s. What does it mean? I don't know. I don't know if it means anything for you at that time, because there's a difference between good that you notice that, right? Like, because there's some level of awareness. But when you're I don't know if these words make sense. When you're consciously aware, when you're intending to be aware, when you're elevating your awareness, and you have a specific outcome that you have declared that you are working on, or as Denise calls it, your done deal, like the thing that you desire, that you put in your shopping cart, right? Pay the money, and then it's going to arrive, right? The same kind of concept. We were just talking about this earlier. When you've done that because you chose it and you said, here is what I'm doing, or here is where I'm going, here's who I am, and then you see a sign, that's a very different way of paying attention than, just, oh, what does it mean? But there's different levels of awareness that people are going through. And I know I was more in the, like, I keep seeing these things, what does it mean? But never really.
333 keeps showing up, right? Like that. That's what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Like, yeah, like it's random. It feels random, but
It might mean something.
right.
But then when you really consciously invest in elevating your awareness, you'll start coming at it from a different place, even to a very different place where I know that you've been working with this, especially of you choosing the sign that when you see this or hear this or taste this or whatever, when that happens, then X, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole different place of being, versus a very or a less conscious place of awareness. But I will say this, just like how I ended up in Porto, I just started hearing people talk about Portugal a lot. People I know who were coming here, friends who just moved here, and then Porto specifically kept coming up. But I've never had any connection to this part of Europe. Zero. In fact, like, Portugal for me was the piece of land stuck to Spain. That was about the extent. And I know that it's famous for having amazing navigators historically, but very.
You're one of them.
I'm one of them. Yes, I'm a Portuguese navigator. And I feel bad to kind of saying that but it's just how it was. Other parts of Europe, been all over the place, studied the history, loved to learn the languages. Portugal, So when it kept showing up in my space, I paid attention. I knew I had to follow that sign, and it led to Porto. And this was just a few weeks ago. And then that led to, maybe I'll go on vacation. Then that led to, I'm buying a one-way ticket and I don't know exactly where I'm coming back from, but I'm going, and I didn't know exactly why, except for I knew it was in alignment with what I'm creating for my life. And that has to do with the world I'm creating. Who I am in this world is, has certain attributes, and among them are travel and adventure and wanderlust. And so all of that played into this. And that's why I bought the one-way ticket. Some significant changes that occurred at home as a result of that. And here I am. And who knows what's going to happen next. But what I will say is this: since I've been here every single day, there have been these conversations happening with me, to me, around me, about my done deal, about the world I'm creating, about who I am, about real estate investment, about entrepreneurship, about becoming a citizen of another country, right? Which is a thing I'm exploring for Portugal. So those conversations perhaps wouldn't have been in my space if I was still sitting in San Diego, right? So I've been following the signs, the intuition, the guidance, and regardless of what some of the consequences have been, because I know what I want. I know one of the things that I want, or there's a lot of things we want or desire, but in this particular vein, I'm steadfast in that direction.
And I would say, well, I would just want to say before I forget, because I forget very quickly. As you're talking, just kidding, that's an old story. So as you were just talking about, there went, whoa, everybody, did anybody find it? Just as you were talking about following the signs, that it feels like it's something that is so strong within. It's kind of like how we all follow like these physical signs that I have as our background, right? Like we all trust in those signs that are there. And so what would it feel like to trust a sign that shows up that is aligned with what it is that you want? So I was just like, I just got this feeling of trusting, our own guidance, our own internal knowing, which you have done. So even though, as you mentioned, that there are things that have changed at home and all of these things, there is still that, like, the creator in you that knows that this is the way that you must walk. I don't know. I don't know. I just keep seeing these physical signs, and I'm like, we trust in that. We need to trust in our own guidance. So Denise says, assign the signs ahead of time, which we're going to talk about. You've arrived when you no longer need signs. Interesting.
Okay.
What about when you create them? That's what I've been feeling lately. So I'm going to share, because you asked me,
Yes,
and
please.
I want to talk. No, because the coffee's running through me right now. But so with Denise, we're doing her 3-month energy forecast, and each one of our cards for each week has an image, right? Has a feeling. And so we look at it, and I'm assigning a sign from each one of those cards. When it shows up for me, it means that my done deal, my wish fulfilled is getting closer and closer, right? So it's right, even though it's here, but my awareness, it feels like. So before, because you talked about like this level of awareness and being conscious of it, and creating now, as Denise has taught, the signs ahead of time. When I went to the movies the other day, I was very aware of my cards and my energy that I've had this week and the signs that would show up. And literally from the time that the movie opened, this week's card, the sign was the first shot. Now, this movie wasn't supposed to have anything to do with this. It was a random location for a quick moment, but it was the sign. And then within the first 2 to 3 minutes, every other sign that's part of my cards showed up. And for me, as we create, I feel like we're creating these signs, like there's that level of creation, right? As we notice them and become aware of them, it almost feels like there's also this momentum that I want to share. So like where it's like right there and you're getting closer and closer. And so it's fun and it's exciting and it feels like an adventure.
Yes.
That's all. Because I love this idea that we're creating signs instead of just like randomly, which there's nothing wrong with random. But I feel like, as we're saying, like this level of awareness that if you say, this keeps showing up in my world, but you have no idea, then you begin to assign meaning to it. But if you create that ahead of time and then you start to see them, there is that momentum.
Yes.
I know, I'm just talking. Bill says, I've watched videos on manifesting. I say money comes to me frequently and easily. Now I find pennies everywhere. I need to raise my monetary value a bit.
Yes, Bill, add a lot of zeros after the penny.
But also be so appreciative of the penny and say, thank you for them. May they rain and shower more upon me. But just have an umbrella so you don't get whacked in the eye with them.
Pennies from heaven. Well, I want to go back to what Denise said, and I know she's going to have something to say about this when she comes on. If she comes
that
on.
was a surprise. You just gave it away, guys.
When you've arrived, you've arrived when you no longer need the signs. I think that's a very interesting statement. And I can only take a stab at what she might mean. This is dangerous territory. So
yeah, we're very careful with our words because our words create a reality. So
that's right. So I think it's kind of what I was saying earlier about the level of consciousness, right? So I guess there's perhaps, I know there's been times in my life when I've said, please God, show me a sign, right? Which is not.
Here you go, Rich. Okay.
There's a penny.
That's me telling God. And God today will be played by. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So
I start my stand-up comedy class tonight. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm supposed to be in that. I was going to be in that comedy class with Shari, but time zones in Portugal and things.
And you followed the signs to Portugal. My sign said over here, your said over there.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so I know there's been lots of times in my life when I've, please show me the sign. And what Denise is saying is, but you are the creator. You are the God of your bubble. So what sign do you want? and then keep your eyes open for that. It's like
Right.
it's being the, I guess one way I could put it, I don't know if it's the exact right words, but you sort of the from a victim position versus the conscious creator position, and you can't be both, right? So which side, who are you in your script? Are you the one who's calling the shots and creating the shots, or are you looking around, passing your life away, hoping that the sign arrives and then you'll take action, then you'll know? I think that's what she's saying, right? And so, and this is the work that we're doing, in this particular program. Yay, I get an A+.
Bonus points, bonus points. We're great tornadoes in training.
Woo. Week 5, I'm learning something. Okay. But it's such oh, Denise says everything is us pushed out. Yes, I'm seeing a reflection of me in the signs I see or I'm aware of. Yes, yes, yes. In fact, that's our theme this week, is
This week, yep.
the mirror, like the things, what we're seeing out there is us pushed out, and or hearing or feeling or being. It's really extraordinary. And here's what I want to really say about all this stuff is it doesn't take very long to make these shifts in your consciousness. You have to make the choice that you want to do that, right? And that means likely, however your life is set up right now is going to change a lot. As you've experienced, as I'm experiencing with mine, right? And there are things we give up, there are things that we gain, but it's like, what do you want, and what is in alignment with that direction that you are now saying you are manifesting? And it's very exciting to be in this space, because you're driving the car. You are the car. You're driving it, and not the passenger. So it's are you passively waiting? Think about
That's why I put it there. I'm like,
Denise, you must be so proud. Okay. Once you arrived at your location, no more need for direction. You're in the done deal. Yes. Yeah, that's it. So that's really
we're done.
We're done. Yeah. And scene.
Everything is like, Denise says this, Denise says that. For those of you who are first tuning in, again, Denise is part of our throuple, part of the Thanks for Nothing. And we are working with her, and she's going to share a little bit about how you can work with her a little bit later on, but also joining in this conversation, because we know she has a lot of thoughts out there. Does she have thoughts? Or she's entertaining them? They're auditioning for her, and she's deciding which one she's giving attention to.
Well, that's a whole other show.
That is a whole other script. So I just want to share this quick moment. Were you done?
I never, but yeah. Carry on.
So this is silly. I remember this I literally, sometimes signs show up literally as signs. So quite a few years ago, when I mentioned about being in this place of like such a strong knowing of something, but unsure of what direction to take, although I knew that I needed to take one, which I know there are many people like that. But if I didn't have that awareness that I needed a change or that I wanted something, I would have never noticed the signs. So I do believe that it first takes that awareness, right? Otherwise, you're kind of just following like willy-nilly signs, and you're like all over the place, and you're like, how did I get here? For me, many years ago, I had this really like emotional breakdown many moons ago. It feels like another lifetime, another character ago. I know. And I was like, I need to go somewhere. I need to get out on the road. I need to just like drive. I need to be in the open space. I need freedom, right? And so I was like, I don't even know what I want to do. And so this is when pop-up ads would show up all the time. And so I had just turned my computer on, and the first thing that popped up was a sign that said Sedona. And I was like, but I feel like that I created that. And I had never been to Sedona. I didn't know anything about it. And if I had not first had that, that creation, that activation of saying, I need to go somewhere, right? Like then that would have just popped up, and I just would have like closed it out. And anyway, that led me to the moment in Sedona, which I write about in my book, which really was this whole, I was supposed to say timelines of merging, but coming face to face with a younger part of myself, and having this entire like moment. So, and that came from literally following a sign. And although I did not assign it ahead of time, which I feel like is so much more powerful, I had the awareness to pay attention, to notice it, to know that it meant something.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I literally ended up in this physical space that I'm in here in Portugal. Excuse me. I was on Facebook and there was an ad for the company called Outsight, and I, at first, as a gay guy, as well, whatever I am, I was like, oh, it must be a gay thing, out,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's not. It's a co-living, co-working company that has beautiful locations all over the world. And I was already in this space of I'm searching, like, I got to travel. I'm going to go somewhere, and that ad, which had never popped up before, pops up, and it led me here and led me directly to, I was like, oh, they have a port, but of course they're in Porto. Of course they have the most locations in the world in Porto. Out of all their locations, there's 5 or 6 here. I mean, in Portugal. And so that one thing led to another, and here I am. And this couldn't be the more perfect landing spot for me in this new city for me. But I wouldn't have paid attention to that otherwise, probably, because if I hadn't been following that desire of, I'm going out into the world, and it was very nascent, and then it was not developed the way it's developed now. But it's like, that if you're going to call it a sign, it was a marker, go this way,
Right. Yeah.
but that's the awareness too, is following, the I think another word for it is intuition. I would normally use the word intuition, and they're
Right.
probably not exactly the same thing. I'm not sure. We'll hear about that in a moment, I'm sure, Denise. but yeah, I mean, it's just having your eyes open. And I think at the bottom line of all of this is, what do you want? What do you desire? Are you allowing the world, politics, family, partners to dictate how your life is going, and how's that working out for you? And are you the one who's saying, this is what I want, no matter what could happen as a result? And it's kind of the choice between living and staying dead, is how I view it. Yeah.
Denise, just because there's
Into
never
it.
literally into it.
I
Uh,
love that.
yeah, and I think that you bring up a powerful point about like having, like, knowing what it is, knowing your world, right? Like knowing what it is that you want. Who do you see yourself as? Who are the people around you? What are the things are like? And so once you are clear of that, of what your world looks like, then it's almost like, this is the place I'm at right now, is like this scavenger hunt. And I almost put that today as our background. Like it was a sign that said scavenger hunt, of like finding the signs and the people and the things that are all part of this grand vision, right? It's all part of our done deal, of our wish fulfilled. Who are the people that are all part of it? Like who's watching right now that, is part of your done deal, your wish fulfilled,
Right.
mine, right?
Well, so in
And who's
this,
here? Look, she said, there you go.
it's the first thing she said to me. I am your genie. Your wish is my command. I'm like, who are you? So, but what's interesting about all this in this 12-week program that we're doing with Denise is there are stages, right? So there's an activation stage, and then we're in the alignment stage, and so we're not actively in the creation mode. We did that for 4 weeks intensely, right? And now we're in the space of receiving. It's more passive, and what's so, the minute I got here, basically, or the first night I got here, my friends took me to dinner for my birthday, and I haven't seen them for a few years, and they were dying. They were alive to tell me that they have this entrepreneurial idea, and that they had already decided they think I should be part of it. Whether or not that's what happens or not doesn't matter, but this is part of what the space I'm in is creating, powerful business partnerships and opportunities, and to completely elevate my income in ways that are beyond my former level of consciousness and awareness and my own best ideas, right? So I don't know where all these things, what they are, but they are already coming to me. And because we've been doing that activation work, and then I get here, which coincided with alignment, bam, oh, we have this idea and we think that this would, that you should be a part of our team. And then I wake up this morning, hey, welcome to our team. Here's a contract, right? Like, okay. And so are we going to call those signs, or are those the packages that are arriving because we've already activated them, right? So
you can probably look at it from both sides, right? Like you can look at it, it's a sign that you are on the path, that you are in your done deal, and also what you're saying, right?
Yeah. But that perhaps that wouldn't be occurring the same way, or I wouldn't hear it or be able to receive it the same way if I hadn't already known, here's the thing I've created, right? This particular done deal that I have.
Yeah.
And the things that are showing up here, even last night, again, like I went to, friends took me to a local bar, and the people I met were talking about all their investments and their real estate, properties here, and how they're getting their golden visas and what that looks like. And I was like, but of course, that's why I'm here. I'm here to understand how those things work and to meet those people. But I wouldn't have known who those people were ahead of time. But my higher consciousness does, right? The universe does. And so they come into my path. And that's 5 weeks ago, this wasn't a conversation for me. 5 weeks ago, that version of whoever that guy was would have thought, well, maybe in 20 years, or that will never happen for me, or man, it's too late. That was not so long ago. And just a short period of consciously doing this kind of work. What's going to happen tonight? What's going to happen tomorrow? I just know it's going to. And this is kind of what Denise is saying. I'm not looking for it. Those people came to me with the conversation.
Yes.
Right?
So powerful. And I just want to confirm in my own way, like of what just happened last night for me, because it's magical too. So yesterday was really, as Rich was just sharing about, the receiving mode, and it's been challenging because I feel like, or was previously challenging, now I'm just embracing it, but like we're like very much in this do and like, the stopping, especially for like entrepreneurs and everything, and always this like active, like this active going after, as opposed to, stepping back and finally allowing, like knowing that you planted your seeds and they're harvesting, right? So yesterday I was like, or the day before, I was like wobbling a little bit with that. And then last night I was sitting on the couch. I haven't even told you this. I was sitting on the couch last night, and I was just like, I went into that mode of like, I wonder what's going to show up. And I just checked my Facebook, and in my Facebook Messenger was someone that I rarely speak to that asked me if I wanted to speak in their mastermind group and share, because they see that I'm doing the media consulting, and if I want to share my services and everything with a group of people. And I was like, it just like literally like just fell in the lap. I don't know. I was like, so this is what, just knowing that you've done the work, and now things are just popping up, showing up. So
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is there anything special about us that is making this happen?
Well, we're consciously just accept the fact that we're consciously doing the work. But yeah, not to the extent that nobody else can do this, that nobody else cannot do this.
Exactly. That was my point. It's just a choice. And dude. Oh no.
All the doing instead of
A song came into my head that I don't want to hear, so I'm going to shut up now. Okay. Anyone, we're all, first of all, there's only one of us here, right? We are all consciousness, and there isn't anyone who doesn't have the ability to do the same kind of work.
Right.
It's not for certain special people. It's not for people who got, MBAs or bachelors or live in a certain neighborhood. It's anyone who chooses that they want to really take the role that they already forgot
Mhm.
about as the conscious creators of their world, of their bubble.
Powerful. Yeah, no, that's powerful. And again, I love that you use remember, because even just I just shared with you and Denise in our messenger thread, like 6 years ago, I was writing about this stuff. There was all these moments of my life where we're writing about it and then we forget and then we remember. And Denise says, you are so not special. And that makes
Yay.
you amazingly special. Yes. And Margaret says, level up, baby. Yes. And that's
Margaret, Margaret
what,
is she's definitely such a great example of I've been watching her through my work with Margaret, and just get to spend almost a year
I
now, and just to see, especially recently, the
I've
shift in
noticed.
Margaret, and she is a PhD, but what she's doing has nothing to do with that. It has to do with her choice to create the world she knows is her birthright, and seeing that has been amazing. And can't wait to visit you on your Echo farm, where you have she's creating a rescue animal rescue farm for donkeys and ponies, I think, and chickens. And it's because that's her heart, and that's what she wants to create in the world, right? And she will. It's already done.
It's
It's a
already
done
done. I
deal.
was gonna say it's already created and it's just our alignment with that creation, right? So like how powerful is that to know that what we is already here and it's just like going, oh, there you are. Instead of like what I feel like when I can explain things in like energy and action. Like I feel like I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Is it under here? Was it what? Why? Like, and then it's just like, just shift your gate. Like that's what that feels like. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the meditations that Ted Geis, the guy from Insight Timer,
Oh,
that
yes,
I
yes.
listen,
What up, Ted?
Australian.
Speaking of Ted.
Speaking of Ted, look, I'm a manifester. um, in one of the meditations that I listen to a lot from him, which is very much in alignment with everything we're saying here, he says, it's already circulating all around you, like the thing it's already here.
Yeah.
Are you seeing it? Are you tuned into it, is the question, right? And that's what all of this is about, is the tuning in, the getting the intuiting it, as Denise said.
Yes. Yes. I just want to go back to Margaret for a moment because I've only had conscious awareness of Margaret, well, whatever kind of awareness, like only since we, started together. And I've even watched your leveling up, Margaret, even like her videos, and I'll like, she leveled up for me because I'm America's joy magnet and she's world's quantum physics. Uh, uh, why can't I remember the word?
Psychologist.
Psychologist. I was going to say physicist. I just leveled. But yes, just even seeing that, I'm like, so I'm watching, I'm watching the leaps all over the place just from, and it's the people that you spend time around with, right? Who you choose to create in your reality. What timeline? And I found myself recently, just yesterday, by the way, there was some sort of response that I got to something that I was like, oh no. And I literally looked at it and I said, oh, that's not my world. And where I normally would have engaged with it, I walked away from it. And then that world caught up to me and came and said something and just, and I was like, there you are.
Well, that's interesting how you said that. That happened recently to me. My oldest. Hi, Rosalia. One of my friends, Kurt, he's not here today. He said something when he heard that I was traveling. He thought he was making a funny joke, but he was referencing a particular health condition that's prevalent right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
In certain communities. I know it's not part of my world. And that was my response. I said, that's not part of my world. And he was texting, right? And then there was like a pause, and then he wrote back, he said, oh, that's very interesting. I'm very open to manifesting new things. Like, and I was like, what? And I explained to him how that conversation is not part of my world. Those conditions, those labels are not in the world that I live in. Right. My attributes are vitality and health and, energy. And,
Yes.
and that's what I'm creating for my life, and it's what I have created for my life. And so, because I said so, right? And that's like, everyone gets to do that. So what do you want, people? I'd love to know, for those of you who are here live, and there's a bunch of people, thank you so much for being here. And those watching the recording, you can do this too. What's just one thing that you are creating in your world that is a high value for you? You can put it in the comments. Love to see it, because that's you putting it into action. It's you declaring that. And then you just keep saying this, you keep declaring this every day as a I am statement. So Shari and I are doing these things. I've done this for a long time, but not in the way that I'm doing it now.
I missed my spin. Can
Uh-oh.
you carry on for like 10 seconds and just continue yapping? Okay, thank you.
Okay. For those of you who don't know what she's talking about, part of the process that we're doing is an activation of our consciousness and training our mind that we are in charge of elevating our consciousness. And so every hour we are doing this spinning, literally just doing 3 spins, sometimes more.
And I just almost knocked over my light. I was like, damn, I'm that powerful.
That was a Wonder Woman spin.
All right. Well, we've talked enough about her, right? We've been talking about her, making reference to her, and we've got to wake her up around here. So let's bring our genie that we have commanded, that we have created, into our world. And there.
You summoned.
You rang.
Thanks for nothing.
Thanks.
Just when I'm out, they pull me back in.
I could feel your energy just being like, I need to. Hi.
Ta-da!
Ta-da.
Instant manifestation. Ta-da!
For those of you who are first tuning in ever, if you've never seen who this amazing woman is, this is Denise, who we've been talking about. She is one of the co-hosts and creators of Thanks for Nothing. She is one of my creations, along with Rich. And I guess we are all each other's creations. Yes. And if you don't know her, you're about to get to know her right now. So if I were you, I would strap up.
I have to say, my little tornadoes, you have gone up a whole new, like you're like level 3.
Y'all, we're doing it. We're making it. We're leveling up.
Hello, everyone. Hello. It's been a while since we thrupled together.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we're always talking, so it's like, oh, there you are.
Again. And on Messenger, when I play the messages, Kervin's like, again. he laughs along with me. He's sitting right over there.
John does the same thing.
Yeah.
John has nicknames for all of us. Yeah. So, in our little thruple. So I know. Rich,
signs everywhere. There's signs.
Yep. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Lay it all out.
You guys did an amazing job, right? You kind of laid out the progress of first people start to see repetition, and then they feel like their world is speaking to them, right? And maybe they've learned, like, feathers mean angels are near, or oops. That was my make sure that I got on. That's not time for me to spin yet, but that's time for me to be on screen with you guys. Or you see pennies, or if you look at the clock and it's someone's birthday, you think of them, that, but then you took it to the next level where, okay, instead of going, well, is this a sign? What am I supposed to do? It's been repeating. You took it to the next level of, well, I'm going to assign the sign. I'm going to give it meaning ahead of time, so I know how to act when it shows up, because the signs, when you're still needing them, they only show up at the moment that they're needed. If you think about your GPS, it can't tell you to turn 3 blocks ahead of time if it needs you to be at the location. It'll start warning you ahead of time that it's coming, right? But the sign comes at the moment that you need it. And if you push it off till later, well, then you've missed that opportunity, but it will wrap around again. But the ultimate, when you truly own your creator vibe, creators don't need signs because they create the reality, right? They create the done deal.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong. It's just, where are you in the journey of it all? And you guys nailed it.
Well, our work here is done.
Yeah. When you arrive at your location, you no longer need your GPS to get to the location. You're there, right? So that's exactly it.
I love that you said that, because that's been going through my head recently, like with talking about signs and thinking about them. I'm like, why do I need them if I'm the one creating them? That would mean that I'm creating my own signs. But I understand why, because it's just like that like you're on your way. It's almost like a momentum type thing, I feel.
So then that's when you say to yourself, well, I'm going to let go of the characters that need signs.
Oh.
And that's right.
Wait. Okay. Say more about that.
Welcome to our talks, everybody. You're just like
all day,
every day.
Fly on a wall.
Yeah. You have to consciously send off the characters that no longer serve you. And if I could do a little plug, at 2:00 in the Invincible CEO Circle, we're doing a talk on Know Your World and instant manifestation, right? So that's exactly it. That when you know who you are and what your world looks like, you don't need signs of it. When something shows up and creates a reaction, you say, I'm in my world. This is not of my world. Bring me my world. And you always end up where you started, because you never move. So instead of you moving through time and space, make time and space take a knee and bend to you. And that's where the powerful creator comes in, because Rich thinks that he traveled for 24 hours to get to a new location, but he never moved. It's the scenery that changed. And for the small characters that need to feel secure, that got on an airplane, got off, got on an airplane, right? But eventually, when you let those characters go, you could fall asleep in your bed and wake up in a bed in your location. Beam me up, Scotty, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So this is kind of, I know you brought me on so that I can share that we're having a 2-day event starting tomorrow.
Before you get into that, I just want to really quickly. I want to acknowledge just Rosalia really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rosalia says she totally agrees. She's been manifesting her butt off the last 4 weeks, especially, and it's incredible to see the way I'm magnetizing things to me. So proud of you, girl.
Yep. And that's it. She's not moving. And even Rich said in his conversation earlier, he's not seeking these things out. They're coming to him, and they're coming to Rosalia. But the thing I do want to say is, just because something's offered to you and it comes to you, you have to know. You don't have to accept it. But that's when you know you and you know your world. And then you're going to ask yourself the questions, do I want to assume this character, that this thought or this offering? And once you're there in that now moment, everything begins to change.
And I just want to add to that last piece.
Yes, absolutely.
I just got chills. That is such a powerful place to be that I'm now experiencing. Actually, it started a few weeks. Actually, when we started doing this work, but some things came to me that previous versions would have been a place of desperation and saying, "Oh, okay, yes," and I thanks to you, Denise. That isn't. You asked for purple, and that was orange. You can take the orange, you're not going to die, but you want it purple. And so you can say no to the orange and stay until the purple comes, right? And that's so freeing, because just because it's offered doesn't mean I have to be a yes, even if it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's such a great place to be. And that only comes because you choose to start learning this, to think this way, to practice, this level of consciousness. So,
and the clarity, I would say clarity too, to add that to the clarity to know, like you say, your world, to know it in and out. So when it doesn't show up, well, first of all, that just means that I'm not on the right timeline. It has nothing to do with the world or the people. It just means like, I got to level up and go, that's not your world.
Everything in its own world is its truth, right? So when you have two people on different sides of the coin, they're in two different worlds, and their truth is the truth of that world. So once you realize and you know what your world should be delivering to you, and something shows up and you see something and you go, okay, that's not my world. Now, if you can really let it go, it'll dissolve immediately. But usually you busy yourself with something else and it just out of sight, out of mind. And if we go to the old saying, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. If you don't mind it, right? If you don't give it energy through your thoughts and your energy, it doesn't turn into matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
You're sneaky with those.
I know. And I'm like,
I hadn't heard you say that one yet. That is awesome.
If you don't mind, it will not matter. It will not come into physical. It's actually invisible, but it doesn't come into physical form. Because anything that's come into physical form, you've given your mind to it because it is your mind. You're walking around in your physical mind right now. This is all your mind.
I have such a great mind. Look at you two. Like, how did I make this up? How did I make? I'm like so proud of myself.
He's sandwiched in the middle. He's in that Leo cookie.
I'm an honorary Leo now. Yes.
Well, yeah. After he wanted points yesterday, I was like so excited to hear that.
I did say I wanted extra. I wanted extra 10 times points.
He didn't even get the original points, and he wants extra. That's a true.
By the way, we did not get to celebrate. Just on the 4th was Rich's birthday, so let's all give it up for Rich and say happy birthday. Happy birthday. We know Denise that it's still August.
Wait.
Denise's birthday.
It's August 38th. I had to do the math. I can do zodiac math. I just can't do time zone.
So for those who have shown up today, let's dive in. So for those who have shown up today and maybe they're like, this was the sign for them. This is the sign. The sign is here. Talk to us about that and share with us what's.
I like Bill Engville. Here's your sign that you need to be in the 2-day event tomorrow. If you like what was talked about today, and we're continuing the conversation each week here at this time, but also we're having a 2-day event. Is this where I can plug?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, don't even just like scream it out from the rooftops.
It is a 2-day event. It is a private invite only, so consider yourself invited. And I will put the link in all the different locations. It is called Create Your Own Reality. And on day 1, we are going to use the wheels of creation. So you guys, even those of you who've been with me for a while, this is new to you. We're going to have the jump off wheel. We're going to have the done deal wheel. And we're going to have the connector wheel in between. And it's a wheel thruple. It's wonderful. And you are going to channel your inner child in a way that's, because if you believe in cause and effect, if I do A and B, I'll get C. We are rewriting the law of cause and effect because it's your story. So you take your jump off and you take your done deal and you put your little connector in between. Then day 2, we're going into your personal trinity. And we're going to create 3 energetic points for you, set points of the creator, the hybrid, and the character, so that you now know your world, and now you'll know your character, so that when you walk away from this 2-day event and you're walking around through life in your active awake dream as your multi-characters, you'll know when a point comes that you have to make a decision. Is this part of my done deal? Do I want to assume the identity of the character that has to play this out? And does that get me towards my done deal or away from it? It's really that simple. When you say that all that you guys have been doing for 5 weeks is really simple. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need any special background.
No, I did need bubbles.
Bubbles, yes, of course.
Yes.
And you know what? And
you don't have to. We're in passive week. You don't have to do it.
So there may be people after the 2-day event that also incorporate bubbles, because we're going to be adding more inner child play. And they may be spinning with you and they get the gist of it. And the more that you do the connectors, the quicker the done deal comes, because you're now, and we're going to energetically, we're going to work on breath work. We're going to work on feeling things within the body. And when you really start to identify with that center dot, everything begins to change. So for those of you, and you can do an active rebellion, right? If you have work, call off sick. Like, you do not want to admit. And this is you're stepping out of the old character that is the good girl, good boy that says, I have to do this because. And you know, there's a couple ways that you can invest in yourself. One, you can pay money, which this is not one of those events. Or two, you invest in time. And what better, and I'll tell you, when you're a millionaire and a multimillionaire and above, it's not about making more money. It's always about freeing up time. And that is the currency of the rich and wealthy, time. So take this time, make an investment in yourself. I will not be recording these sessions because it makes you even more present while you're there. So there's 4 sessions each day, 3 where we're actually taking you into a technique and a Q&A session at the end of the day so that you can clear up anything that you need to understand or know that may be a little fuzzy to you. So it's called Create Your Own Reality. I will put the link in all of the locations that you are. Sign up today, because once we start the first session, we do not add anybody after that. So an hour before the session starts, registration closes. So we're starting noon Eastern Standard. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. So an hour before that, I close registration because I don't have enough time to get you all the things that you need in order to participate. And there are 2 small little workbooks that I created. So we got to make sure that you have that. You don't have to print them out, but they're a really great thing to have.
And again, like she said, all this information will go into the comments here. So you can click on it, you can register. And I got to tell you that Rich and I, as you hear us talking and all the things that we've been creating, this was part of it, right? Like the 2-day event that we got to be a part of, the first one. And this whole thing wasn't about, no, it was. We were excited for you to sign up for this. And the signs, I would just say the sign led you here. So, and I know Margaret said before, and I'll just say, she said, my sign is to gift myself the energetic forecast. Awesome.
Oh, I'm so excited for you, Margaret.
So excited.
And I just want to say that, you know, well, one thing about the structure of the days is that there's an hour of Denise, and then you get an hour of integration. You might call it a break, but you're doing some work in that period. And it goes from the 2-day that we did, which was a totally different 2-day type of event. It went by so fast. Yes. And so much happened that, like Shari just said, was the inception. It was the jumping off point that led us to what we're doing now. And I am in so much appreciation that I gave myself the gift of doing those 2 days, because I don't know that I'd be sitting right here. I wouldn't be right here. I know I wouldn't be. I could be somewhere else, but what's been created and what has changed and opened up and all that I know that's already circulating all around me as a result is priceless. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about this, then just give yourself that gift.
No, you anyway. The sign.
Yeah, and if you haven't had your mind blown in a while,
to say the least.
Yeah, it's very funny to listen if you were like a fly on the wall and listen to Rich and I conversation, because it's always like, what? And then, oh, it's like, that's how it would be translated, those words into sounds.
So let me ask you this, right? With the 5 weeks, but we've been chatting a little bit longer than 5 weeks.
Yeah.
What do you say life is more fun now?
Yeah. It's yeah.
There are no words.
Well, it's exciting. I actually feel like I'm actually living. Uh-oh.
Now it's time to spin. Excuse me.
Time to spin.
Yeah. Well, we are right at we have a minute left. And this is what I want to say about how powerful this work is. And I guess they're both spinning. So I'll share with all of you. I'm going to share with you how powerful all of this work is. I had to take my glasses off because it's serious. So I know my reality that I created, my done deal. And as I spin and each hour and manifesting it, what I'm finding that as things are arriving and they're aligning and everything, what I keep going back to is fun and joy. I know, shocking, but I'm getting more and more. I'm like, do you even really care about all that? Like, and what I mean by that is prioritizing and clarifying what is really important and how I want to live each moment that I have here, how I want to consciously create it. And so when you say fun, when you say more fun, I'm like, yeah, and that's what I want more of. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
all the other stuff comes because you're having fun.
Yes. So if you want to have more fun, join tomorrow. Sign up. I actually put the link in the comments as well. And Rich, continue to enjoy Porto.
Yes.
Denise, we will see you next Wednesday here in the I don't even know what it's called.
We have no idea where we're at, what we're doing.
In the fun seat. Thank you all for joining us today. And how will you create the signs, consciously create the signs in your life, or do you even need them because you're that powerful?
Oh, and by the way, thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing.
Nothing. Thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.